everybody! I wanted to make a quick video and show you how I kept myself organized during my grad program and also how I took notes, which I feel like might be effective for you, especially because it helps to keep citations organized and allows you to quick reference them when you're writing a paper. So this is my Masters of Education program folder. I pulled each individual course into a folder and then used the acronym for the title of the course to name that folder. I no longer remember the titles of these courses anymore, but you can use any formula you want to label your course folders. And then if you go into a particular course, you'll see that I took notes every single week. I also saved all of my assignments. And in this program, we wrote a paper once a week. So it's important that you keep your notes divided by the time length between papers, and I'll explain that in a second. So my week 2 readings were going to be useful for my week 2 paper. My week 3 readings were going to be useful for my week 3 paper. Now, you could keep these all in a single document as well. I actually might even recommend that at this point, especially if you're doing one cumulative paper at the end of the course itself. So that's a possibility. I also recommend, I did these in Notepad. I don't know why, it was like 2012, 2013. I mean, these days I would definitely use Google Docs, but for some reason I use Notepad, and that's why you'll see these Notepad documents in here. Now I would use Google Drive, and I would also make use of the search feature in here when I was trying to search through my notes in Google Drive. So let me open up a sample. This is the week 5 readings, and this is the formula that I used. So I would put the first resources APA citation up here. I would make sure it was 100% correct before I started taking notes, because the APA citations were probably the thing that took the most time for me, and we definitely were graded very strictly on those. After I would put the citation down, I would then come underneath of it and put my own notes in here. Then I'd go to the next resource, which I would number. So resource number 2, here's the APA citation for that. Was very excited because this was a coworker of mine who wrote this resource. And then you'll see that I would either use direct quotes or I would use my own words. Now, this is a web link, so there were no page numbers. But if this was a textbook, I would definitely have had the page number for that right here as I was taking the notes, because it makes sense. If you're on page 9 and you see a quote that resonates with you, why not record the page number right then and there? Okay, then I'd go to the third resource. Came down, started, again, quoting things, taking notes in my own words, whatever it was that I wanted to say. So for 1 week, it looks like I had about 6 resources this particular week. Now, when I went to do the paper itself, so let me keep this open. Okay, so that's week 5. And then this would have been the week 5 paper. So actually, it looks like we did a project that week. So let's pretend we're writing a paper then. So here we go, we're gonna write the paper. By the way, in order to write a paper, I had a template. So in this whole main folder, I would have these templates and forms. One of our professors, Dr. Rebecca Yard, was great, and she actually gave us an APA template and an APA template with notes. So I literally would just go in here and take this template and make a copy of it every single time I wrote a paper and just replace the pieces that I needed, the pieces that she put in here as the template, with my own. That was the easiest thing to do. So this is how I would start my papers, with this template. So let's pretend that this is that template. And then as I'm typing, all right, so let's say that in week 5, I have to talk about, for example, digital natives. So blah, blah, blah. Digital natives, because Tom McHale said this about them, and you're typing, but then you have to cite this, right? You get to the end of your paragraph and you have to cite it. So I'd come over here and I would go, okay, I remember that I read about digital natives this week. And then I would click, if you're on a PC, a Windows computer, Control F, or if you're on a Mac, you would do Command F, and that opens up a search bar. And in the search bar, you can start typing any phrase, right? So if I type digital native, I see there are 4 instances of the word digital native. So I can come down here and go, okay, I read about digital natives in the Prensky resource, in this debate, and in the Tom McHale resource. Now, what did I just say about digital natives? Well, maybe I'm talking about how kids don't even want to use books anymore. Oh no. um, so at this point, needing to cite, it's easy because here are the notes right here and the resources right here. And all I need for the in-source, the in-text citation is this piece here, Mikhail T, 2005. I'm doing that wrong now. It's been a while since I've done this, right? So that is my citation right there. So then I would continue. I go to the next paragraph, blah, blah. And let's say I had to talk about, for example, students using SparkNotes. So students are using SparkNotes more often. I'm drawing this conclusion. Well, gee, where did I remember hearing that in week 5? So I come back here. Again, we do Command F or Control F. I search the term SparkNotes, and here it is. Boom. Apparently, I read something that told me students said that they never read books and were calling SparkNotes a legitimate source. Well, where does that come from? This resource right here that's already cited above it. So then I would come back to my paper over here, and I could very easily just start putting the citation in right from my notes over here. When I go to create my resource list, my reference list, so you're going to have a page break, okay? And you're going to have your reference list with APA. And what I would actually do is, rather than wait until the very end of the paper, as I am putting in these citations, as I write the paper, I'm putting the full formal APA citation in. And to do that, all I have to do is come up here and copy what I already wrote the first time. So I just copy this, come over and put it in. Now I would change the font and the formatting there. And then when I know that I'm going to be citing that next resource, okay, this one with the SparkNotes, so I copy that and I look at how it needs to be alphabetized. I see that it starts with a D, come down here and put it above that. So I'm building the resource list, the reference list, as I'm writing the paper. I'm putting the citations in as I'm writing the paper. And I'm using this organized system where I have the citations fully spelled out with the notes underneath of it, and using a lot of Control F and Command F to help me find my thoughts and to figure out where I got them from so I can make sure I'm citing correctly. And this really did help me to remember a whole lot of what I read and what I studied. So that's pretty much how I did it. You can also, now that we have Google, if you do this in Google, you can search Drive. You can narrow it down to a Google Doc, and then you can look for those keywords, because then if you have, if you are trying to cite something across courses, maybe for a major assessment, you would be able to pull up any document that you had created, for example, with the word SparkNotes or with the word student-led learning, and they would come up from here. And you could even limit your search to this folder. You'd go into Search Drive, you would specify the location to a particular folder. And then from there, you would, put in your keywords or whatever it is you needed, and you could find your information there. So I hope this helps. It was a really helpful process for me, and hopefully it helps somebody else as well.